Hey y'all, we back with another video. In this video, I got something very special for y'all. In fact, I would even go as far as to say this is pretty rare. So I have a Chrysler that I won on eBay via auction, and I want to show y'all what it looked like. So coming up in this video, we're going to take a look at this Chrysler that I bought off of eBay. Coming up. Okay guys, welcome to the channel. We're back at DDG. It's your host Chris. So I got a special one for y'all today. So I bought this Chrysler off of eBay. It's a very rare Chrysler. It's a Chrysler Cirrus. And I know a lot of people probably don't know what that is. And some people are familiar with this car. But this car is very rare. I won it off of eBay via auction. So I found a chance to be able to get something that I have been trying to get my hands on for a long time. But they are so hard to come by. It's so rare. So I was finally able to snag one. As you can see right here, it is in this box. So I have been waiting for so long for one of these, and I'm so glad I got one now. And we're going to go ahead and open this box, and I want to show you, because this was one of the best purchases I believe I've gotten this, in the past year or so, because everything else I have is not as rare as this. So and as you can see right there, Brookfield Collectors Guild. This is a company that makes a lot of Chrysler, Dodge products in particular. In fact, if you go back to one of my videos, I did a video on the Dodge Intrepid, which was also a product of Brookfield Collectors Guild. So if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch the video I did with the Dodge Intrepid that comes from this company here, Brookfield Collectors Guild. So here is my Chrysler Cirrus. And a lot of people are not familiar with the Chrysler Cirrus. It is a new purchase for me, but it's also a rare purchase because these are so hard to come by. These are so hard to come by. I was so glad that I won the bid on this. I did bid for this. I bid for this on eBay, and I kept close attention to it, and I won the bid. So I'm so happy that I was able to snag this off of eBay. So in the case of this Chrysler Cirrus, this car was produced in 1995 to 1997. The Cirrus was offered in two trim levels. It was the entry-level LX and the LXi. The LX model was dropped for the 1998 model year, but returned in 2000 to compensate for the Plymouth Breeze that was discontinued early in the 2000 model year. It was then replaced by the 2001 Dodge Stratus sedan. So I know you're probably wondering here, this car has went from one to the next to the next. So it went from being a Chrysler to a Plymouth to a Dodge. It's weird, right? But I guess you're asking yourself, so the 98 model year, it came back in 98, but it returned in 2000 to compensate for the Plymouth Breeze that was discontinued in the early 2000 model year. And then that one was replaced by the 2001 Dodge Stratus. So in case you haven't seen any of these vehicles before, I'm going to show you on the screen what they all look like. So as you can see right here, this is the Chrysler Cirrus right here. This is the Chrysler Cirrus, okay? But I'm going to also show you the Chrysler Cirrus on the screen here, which is this one right here. So this is the Chrysler Cirrus. Now, in 2000, it had to compensate for the Plymouth Breeze. Now, here's the Plymouth Breeze. You see the pattern? You see the pattern, right? You saw the Chrysler Cirrus. Now you're looking at the Plymouth Breeze. Okay. Then it says it was then replaced by the 2001 Dodge Stratus. Now, here is the Dodge Stratus. Are you beginning to see the pattern here? Are you beginning to see what I see here? This car has the same body style going all the way from one car name or car brand to another. It doesn't change the body style at all. The body style remains the same through this whole change. From Chrysler to Plymouth, from Plymouth to Dodge. It seems the body style stays the same. The only thing they did was change the badge and made a few changes, maybe in the tail lights, in the grill assembly. That was the only thing that changed. But everything else stayed exactly the same. Same body style, same everything. The only thing that was different, like I said, was just the tail lights looked a little different. The grill, front grill assembly was different. Plymouth had a different grill from the Chrysler, which had a different grill from the Dodge. So it was all still on the same platform, but different years. And when it changed, it still maintained the same body style. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. You know, and so, you know, it's weird, you know. This Chrysler Cirrus, to me, honestly, it reminds me of the time when Dodge came out with the Intrepid, and they had the Chrysler Concorde, and they had the Eagle Vision. Like, all of those, to me, had the same body style. They just changed up a few things on the outside just to make it look a little bit different, but the body style was the same. It was they were all riding on the same platform. You just seen a little bit of changes here and there because it was basically the same car with minor changes. That's it. That's what the Chrysler Cirrus reminds me of. It really reminds me of that. Because that's exactly what they did with the Dodge Intrepid, the Chrysler Concorde, and the Eagle Vision. Same thing. That's why I say, if you go back to my early video where I did a review on the Dodge Intrepid, you'll see in that video I will show you all the other cars that were made like the Intrepid. And you will see that also reminds you of this lineup here with the Chrysler Cirrus, the Plymouth Breeze, and the Dodge Stratus. All the same car, different badges, different name, and different tail. It might have a different tail light look, and it's going to have a different grille assembly. That's it. That's the only changes that they make. But nonetheless, this car wasn't around too long. Like I said, this car started out in 95 to 97. You know, and like I said, it was 2 levels, LX and LXI. It was dropped for the 98 model year, but then it came back in 2000, you know. So it compensated for the other car, which was the Breeze, that was discontinued in 2000. So when the Breeze was discontinued in 2000, they brought the Cirrus back for 2000. But then that only lasted a year, because in 01 it changed to the Dodge Stratus and they discontinued the Cirrus. You see, so it was like one car was replacing another. So it you know, one was canceling out the other. You know, you know, that's the way they did it back then. This was a way they were doing things back then, especially when it came to producing cars. A lot of their cars looked alike. A lot of cars look alike. Just a lot of them had different names to them and stuff like that. It was just a lot of copycat. A lot of copycat with different companies. You know, a lot of them, you know, had multiple companies together, but it was like, okay, what are we doing here? You know, and Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge, they did this for a long time. Like, they've been doing this since like the 80s. You know, having multiple models, but different names and different badges and stuff like that. Like, there's one other car that they did this with. If I can remember all of the cars that they made, then I would be able to tell you. I know 2 of them right now, but I can't think of the third one. It may have only been 2, but as far as I remember, it may have been 3, but I can only remember 2. So they did this also with the Dodge Spirit, and they had in the Plymouth, they had a Plymouth Acclaim, and I don't know if they had one in the Chrysler section, but I know Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim were basically the same cars. So this was a repetitious thing that Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge has done over the years in the past, where they would make multiple cars with the same body style, but then they would change just minor things with it. And that's what they did with this Chrysler Cirrus. That's why this Chrysler Cirrus used to be the Plymouth Breeze, and then the Plymouth Breeze turned into the Dodge. It turned into the Dodge Stratus, you know. So it was a lot going on back then. I'm so glad that they really. I mean, I'm not gonna say they really don't do that now. Well, they really don't do that now. They actually, they actually don't do that, but it's a lot of other car companies that does that. Like the ones that do it on the cheap side, still kind of do it where they'll take one car and badge it 120,000 times. I don't know why they do that. But anyway, this is the rare Dodge. I mean, not Dodge. See, I'm already saying Dodge because I know this was also a Dodge and this was also a Plymouth. But in this case, this is the Chrysler. You see the Chrysler name right there on the side. Oh, and by the way, this is not a die-cast model. This is actually a plastic or promo, if you want to call it that. But either way, whether it's a promo or whether it's a die-cast, either way, this is still one of the rarest cars. This is very hard to find. And like I said, I'm glad that I was able to get my hands on one of these. So, let's see at the bottom. So, I'm going to go ahead and unravel this and take this off. So, let's see if we can actually get this out. Okay, so let's look at the bottom first. Let's see if they have any identifying marks underneath. Okay, so here it said Brookfield Collectors Guild. Alright, and then you see right there, it says Chrysler Cirrus. Okay. Made in China, 1994. Okay, so let's take a look at the rear. Okay. You can see right there, it says Chrysler Cirrus. So this is the LXI model. You see right there, it says LXI. You also have the Chrysler license plate. And I mean, for it to be a promo model, this is really nice. And you could see the old Chrysler logo right there on the front. The Chrysler badge right there on the front grille. It does have fog lights. Let's see if we can get a peep on the inside. The doors does not open, so we got to look at it through the window. And it looks pretty detailed in the right there in the console where the temperature gauges are and the radio and things like that. It looks detailed, pretty good. Let's see if we can look at it from this angle. See if we can look and take a look at the instrument cluster. If we can see it. It's really hard to see, but you can see it right there. You can see a little bit of the instrument cluster. So let's see. Okay, there we go. So you can see a little bit of the instrument cluster there. You know, not much. You would have more access if the doors were able to open, but the doors don't open on this. So These were one of the major colors this car came in. I'm not sure what type of green this is, but this is one of the major colors that this car came in back in the early 90s, early mid 90s, when this car first hit, hit the streets. Not really much. It was a cheap Charlie. You know what I mean? It was something to get around in. It didn't offer a whole lot. It wasn't something to brag about. It wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those cars where it was something to brag about. It was just something for people to get around in. Reasonable, very reasonable. So it I would say in my opinion, it was more or less like something, that was more economic. It was economical. It was cheap. A lot of people was able to afford it. And so many people, had this back in the mid 90s. So it did what it was supposed to do. It was based on a 92 concept car, the same name, which debuted at the International Auto Show, the North American International Auto Show in 92. And development of the Cirrus started in 91. So this one also, the Cab 4 design, as I previously stated in my video with the Dodge Intrepid. If you want to go back to that video, it would give you an explanation about the Cab 4 design. And Cirrus, believe it or not, was Motor Trend Magazine's Car of the Year for 1995. That was an accomplishment, So the first generation of this Cirrus was also sold in Mexico. It had a turbocharged version of the 2.4 liter I4 engine and 4-speed automatic transmission with auto stick. I mean, the Cirrus name was dropped in the U.S. The Chrysler Sebring was this replacement. See? So everything was being replaced by something else. The Chrysler Sebring came along, and that replaced the Chrysler Cirrus. You see? But in Mexico, the name continued. I look. This is what it was. Trim levels on the 2001 version was the LX. And in this case, here's the LXI. This is the LXI. But it's not much to look at. It's not, this car is not a marvel. It's not something to look at. It was a cheap, economical car, for people to get around in. Like I said, it's this car wasn't nothing people could go around and brag about or anything like that. It just wasn't one of those cars. You know, anytime a car company can take this one car and replace it as many times over as they did with the same exact model but a different name, then that tells you right there that they really wasn't planning on really doing much with this particular vehicle. You know, you got the Plymouth Breeze and you got the Dodge Stratus, and they all look exactly the same. So they didn't really have plans of doing too much with this. You know, this was just something to present to the people, something cheap, economical, you know. And then when they were tired of this one, you know, the Plymouth Breeze was another option if you wanted to go down that road. And then the Dodge Stratus was the end-all, be-all, and you had a choice to get that one when that one hit the market. But to be honest, they were all the same thing. They just came out in later years. One came out to replace the other one, and then the other one came out to replace the other one. So, you know, they canceled each other out in progression until 2001 when the Dodge Stratus came out that canceled out the Plymouth Breeze. So they were there to cancel each other out. When one got boring, then they brought out another one and say, okay, let's bring out this one. We'll just change a little bit of stuff. When that one got boring, they said, okay, we'll change that one out and we'll just replace a little bit of stuff. You know, and the Stratus was the end all be all. That, like, you know, once that was done, you know, they were done with this complete body style and car period. You know, even though the Stratus did come back in later years, this one never came back. Like the Cirrus was done. The Breeze was done. This was a one-time thing for them. You know, but having a replica of this is just simply history. The history behind this. And not only that, but the rarity of these, because these are so hard to come by. I literally had to bid on this to win this. It wasn't like I was looking for it and it was there and I could just purchase it. No, I literally had to bid on this to win this. You know, so I was glad that I was the leading bidder, you know, and I was hoping that nobody would try to come at the last minute and outbid me for it, because sometimes people will wait till literally the last few seconds to outbid you before they end up winning it. And I was hoping that they didn't do that, because when they did the countdown, I was really nervous. I was really nervous, and I kept my eyes on the screen when the time dropped down to 60 minutes. So when it dropped down to an hour, I had to keep my eyes peeled, because there was a chance that somebody could come in and outbid me for it. And I wasn't going to let that happen by any means necessary, because by me being a leading bidder, I wanted to be the one to end up being the winning bidder once the clock ran out. And once it got down to a minute, that's when I really started paying attention to the screen, because I didn't want no last minute bidders to try to upstage me in the last few seconds of this purchase. I was going to be really pissed off if that was to happen. But I'm glad it did not happen. And it finally said that I was the winning bidder. And so all I had to do was pay my bid. And here it is. I got it. And I'm happy I got it. I'm so excited that I got it. You know, because not only is it rare, but I have a piece of history. You know, we'll never see the Cirrus ever again. This was a one-time deal. You know, there are a lot of cars that we've, you know, had history with, or remember its history, you know, or we just like the nostalgic portion of that car's time when it really blossomed in the era that it did. So those are just a few things to kind of look at when you think about the Chrysler Cirrus and where it was back then. But yeah, so I'm happy to really get my hands on this one, and I'm really happy that I got it. And so for you guys, this is just a treat. And this is a car that I will really cherish for a long time, because this is something I've been always wanting to get my hands on, and I finally got it. And I'm so excited that I have it now. So with that being said, that is the end of the video. And I really like the Chrysler Cirrus. And like I said, it's nothing to really marvel at. It's not a big luxurious brand. It was just something economical, something for people to get around in, very cheap, you know. And let me know in the comments, you know, if you guys remember this car, remember the history between this one, the Stratus, and the Breeze, you know, and how they was doing the copying thing, like just constantly doing it with the same body style, putting different names on it and stuff like that. That was really annoying. But anyway, just tell me down in the comments what you think about the Chrysler Cirrus, you know, what you think about the purchase and everything. And you know, as I always say in my videos, you know, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, make sure you guys turn on your post notifications so that anytime that I drop a video, you guys be notified when it happens. So with that being said, I'll let y'all go on about my day, because I'm certainly about to go on about my day, which is get some sleep, because I've been working all night. And I figure I'd go ahead and drop my video before I go to sleep, because once I do that, I'm not going to feel like doing nothing. So I'm going to let y'all go, and I'm going to go, and y'all have a great one.